I'm Michael Fox, and this is the Prospector Podcast. And I have joining me one of my favorite guests. I have Maura Kolb, President and CEO of Dryden Gold. Welcome, Maura.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
Thank you for joining me again. We've got lots to cover with this one, but before we get into everything, let's give everybody the quick 10,000-foot view of what Dryden Gold is, where you're working, and what you're accomplishing.
So we're a gold explorer. We're in Northwestern Ontario. So that is right between Thunder Bay and Winnipeg, right off the Trans-Canada Highway. You couldn't have better infrastructure, easy to get around our property. You can take a pickup truck to all of our exploration targets. And this is an underexplored camp. It's seen very little exploration, just all piecemeal. But what has been done is found some very high grades. So we have 70,000 hectares. We're working on regional exploration to discover new, potential deposits here, as well as moving along our what I call our flagship, the Gold Rock camp area, where there has been some historic mining and some historic drilling.
Wonderful. Yeah, you've since you've been able to acquire and bring all these pieces together into one giant district property like that. You're making up for the lack of exploration that's occurred on that property. You guys are working hard. It's one of those areas where you guys get to work year round, which is wonderful. I'm going to assume you avoided the problems of some of the other northern explorers. There's been no fire in your area, has there?
We've been very lucky this summer. So we've had a mix of sun and rain. So it's been very good for exploration work, keeping the fires to the northwest of us. Unfortunately for northern Manitoba, they've had a really hard time, but we've gotten lucky with a mix of rain here. So we've been able to keep working, keep drilling all summer, and really push ahead our regional exploration programs.
Perfect. Now, since we last spoke, which is going on a couple of months ago, just before the summer got wound up here, you guys have come out with a couple of more sets of assay results. Let's start with two sets of results ago. Where was that exploration done, and what was the results that were found?
Yeah, well, maybe I'll just kind of summarize where we've been working all summer, because it's been a pretty exciting summer. I would say early June, we were talking about a new structural interpretation that we put together over the work that we did through drilling last year and the field mapping campaigns to really start to hone in on another orientation, like a third orientation of deformation that was we believe is driving the highest grade mineralization. So targeting that, we also started to discover more stacked structures. So we've, since the beginning of the company, which was not very long ago, we only became a public company in 2024 in January. So we're still babies, I'd say. We've been exploring what we call the Elora Gold System and the Big Master Gold System, and they're parallel. And what we've found recently through drilling is that we have stacked structures in between these. And so our focus for the summer has really been to expand the Elora Gold System. But as we're doing that, we have been finding hanging wall and footwall structures to that. And what's really great about this is it means there are more potential high-grade zones and more ounces and more tons later for future mining in a small footprint. So the Gold Rock target area, that's really our flagship. It's about 1.5 kilometers by a kilometer wide. And now we're seeing more and more zones within that. So it's been a pretty exciting summer. We intercepted 301.67 grams over almost 4 meters, which included almost 2,000 grams over about a little over half a meter. So, I mean, we're really seeing high grade in these stacked parallel structures. And now it's been fun unlocking their orientations and how many of these there are.
Wonderful, and that's the results that have come in the last little while in the two trenches worth of results that have come in. Yeah, you see those kinds of results, and I like to refer to them as porn results because they're just huge and not normally what you would normally expect to see of these types of things. And this isn't the only time that you found these kinds of results. You're finding them all over this property.
Yeah. And that particular example, so that's one of the hanging wall structures on the Jubilee that we've been targeting. You know, that's very exciting. That's a really flashy grade. And if you're at one of these conferences, we've been bringing that particular piece of core with us because it's just so cool to see. But I think I'm even more excited about the work we've been doing along strike of the Allure Gold system, discovering another high grade structure on what we're calling the Pearl, and the recent drilling that we are completing, you know, really today as we speak, is testing between the Laurentian mine, Pearl, which is our new target, and Jubilee to really see if there are any other high grade structures along that overall trend. Because one of our results really recently, I think from last month, we noted on hole DGR 25005 that there was another potential high grade pod. So we've been kind of testing in there. So I'm excited to see how those results come back. But I mean, so far the core looks promising. On that particular one, we had 2 grams over almost 6 meters, including a little over 10 grams over just under a meter. So, I mean, we're starting to see more of these structures, which again equals more ounces in this small footprint. So it's been fun to kind of start to define these and the, as we call it, the periodicity, but really the pattern of how often these high grade zones are occurring within the overall mineralized footprint. It's really evolving. And one of the things I get asked often is, you know, when are you going to do a resource? But we're so early in the game here. We're really just defining the blue sky. How big is this system? How many, you know, structures do we have? And then where are the high grade zones within that? Because we don't have the ends of these yet. You know, we're just like every time we step out, we are learning more about where the gold system continues to go. So it's pretty early stage for us to say, you know, this is the size of Gold Rock. I don't believe we've even close to capped where the edges are. In fact, we're preparing now to do a 2-kilometer step out to what we call Mud Lake, which we put out results early this year from our last summer field program, where we had grab samples up to 24 grams per ton on surface, 9, and really just the footprint looks very similar to what we have been drilling at Gold Rock, with a very similar geophysical signature and anomaly. And that just says, hey, on the small scale, we see these high grade zones in a pattern. But if we zoom out, there's also a pattern of where, you know, potentially these deposits can be. So I'm pretty excited about that and coupling that with the on the ground work for even other potential zones and you know, maybe deposit footprints in this region.
Yeah, it's when I think about your property and everything that's going on there, I'm reminded of this silly little Far Side cartoon where there's this giant eye in the side view mirror with the thing that says objects may be bigger than they appear. That's kind of the way I feel about your property. I think that everything is right now it's bigger than it appears to be on your property. And this story is evolving and keeps evolving quickly. Like we were talking about 2 sets of assays back in January. You've got more results as early as this morning that help move this project along even further.
Yeah, we've been really trying to understand the controls of the highest grade mineralization. And if you've been following along on our long section of the Allure Gold system, you'll see that on the newest iterations that I've been working on, you know, what is the over 30 gram meters? And we've been working with structural experts, Ben Freeman of the Colorado School of Mines, who actually led the only real research that's been done in the Dryden camp through Metal Earth a few years ago. So we partnered up with him and are looking at, you know, what are the small things that we should be measuring in the core, looking for in the field that are telling us, you know, where the highest grade pockets should be. And, you know, the result from this morning, you know, 8.69 grams over 9.4 meters is really exciting and shows more of that mineralization. And its plunge and shape is different than the overall, you know, high grade zone that we're targeting at the Jubilee zone. So it's important for us to learn where we have a lot of data, what the subtleties are, so that we can apply that now to Pearl. And as we're drilling this same system up towards the Laurentian mine, we can, target that and look for that pattern on the other high grade zones that we're trying to define. So it's just really important and very systematic the way we are approaching things. All of our small passes, we try to get all the information we possibly can out of those so that we can apply that to the next drill holes that we're planning.
Yeah, now you do talk about it being methodical and systematic, but it's also an aggressive program. You guys are getting an awful lot of work done in a very short period of time, and that takes capital. And earlier this week, you guys announced that you raised nearly another $8 million of working capital to put back out into the field. So what is the plans for these new funds as we head into the fall? What are they going to be funding?
Well, it's really exciting, and I thought just the perfect time for us, being that it's still August here. We have a little bit of summer left, so the new funds, it's $7.8 million. A little under 6.5 of that is going to be put in the ground. It's flow through going into exploration. We're going to expand some of the regional campaigns that we're doing now. We've visually seen some good results. We should be getting assays back soon so we can add to the areas that have been favorable and get a little more data before we get into, potentially drilling those targets. And then the rest of the funds will go to drilling. So it's going to be a more drill heavy campaign than we did for the 2025. Because if you remember our 2025, our $5.8 million, about a little over half of that was really drill focused at the Gold Rock target area where we've been drilling and expanding that. But we wanted to get out and understand what the property could hold. So a big endeavor this summer has been the till and soil sampling program. And the reason for that is what excites, the major and mid-tier companies that we talk to is this district scale potential, the 70,000 hectares that we have. So we have great geophysics coverage over the entire region. And then we have done some structural interpretation based on that and the good amount of outcrop that we have here. But the other, sort of ingredient or clue that we didn't have in a systematic way was this geochemistry. So it's a entire property scale project to get anagrid soil samples or till samples so that we have an idea where to vector in on high grade. So there are pathfinder elements that we can use to say, okay, we're probably getting near a gold system. Gold itself will show up in these. So it really gives another clue to say, hey, there could be a deposit lurking here where you haven't considered because maybe the cover is more or you just hadn't gotten to it because we have such a large property. So I'm really excited about having done that work. And then with this raise we just completed, we have the bandwidth to start testing the regional targets. I find not everybody gets excited about this, but the fact that we have this resource pipeline and targets at early stage to drill ready, it gives us such a growth portfolio here in the Dryden district. And if you look at our land package, you have to remember it maybe looks small on a map, but I just had the board here and, from the center, we drive to one edge and it's about an hour to the other, to the far eastern and an hour all the way to the south. So it is a huge land package and there is huge opportunity on it. So it's exciting to be able to move it forward and really show, I think, a long-term opportunity here.
Yeah, it is, and as I say, you guys are working on aggressively moving this forward, and the story evolves very rapidly. Now, you and your management and I are going to be able to get together very soon. We're all going to be up in Beaver Creek, Colorado, at the Precious Metals Summit. If people want to meet with you, Trey, and the rest of the management at Dryden, how would they reach out to you to arrange meetings?
Yeah, our website's always a great place to find tons of information, but you can get our contacts there. We're setting up meetings while we're in town. I'll also be presenting at the Denver Mineral exploration symposium on the weekend after. So it's a good time to meet us out there in Colorado. Hopefully the weather's nice. And as I kind of was alluding to, we're starting to get results back in on our summer field campaign. So our catalysts that we have this year are really all coming to fruition in the fall here. So we're going to get a lot of results back, not just from the drilling, but from the step outs on Mud Lake, from the regional work we've done. And those can really drive the next, as Michael said, like the aggressive phases of exploration. We're really pushing this fast and integrating our new data all the time to be dynamic and exciting.
Wonderful. It'll be great to see everybody in person, and I look forward to an update again in a few more weeks. And yeah, I always go with it's a slower process with most companies, but I suspect that there will be a lot accomplished between now and Colorado, because as I say, you guys don't let the grass grow under your feet, that's for certain.
Definitely not.
Thanks very much for your time, Maura, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
See you soon.
Dryden Gold is a paid sponsor of the Prospector News, and the host owns shares and warrants in Dryden Gold bought at the market for investment purposes. The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.